timely, very relevant. And in terms of having responsibility for figuring this situation out, that's going to be beyond my pay grade, but we can maybe offer a few solutions here and see what we can come up with, because this is a moment. Let's define it as that. It's a moment.
Is it a moment? Is that what we're experiencing? Is a moment?
Well, yeah, probably the most dangerous moment since the Cuban Missile Crisis, I think.
You know, I've been sort of tripping out on some of this stuff, and the old wag the dog kind of reality of it all. I'm less inclined to buy what's going on than I would have a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I know there might be some booms going on over there, but at this point I don't know anything. Like, I don't trust any of it. You know, we're already seeing, you already see a guy you already see that everybody involved with everything that has occurred in the last.
Stream the Oscars on ABC, Sunday, March 12th. Live.
Month here is all the members of the World Economic Forum. I mean, everybody, across the board. So, you know, I saw a text, Ian Smith, you know, the Tilly's gym owner guy, was calling out Dan Crenshaw, dude. Dan Crenshaw was posting up all the, on his Twitter, warmongering with all the, you know, what is now fake news about the island and the ghost pilot. And you look at Dan Crenshaw, he's a World Economic Forum guy all the way, dude. Trudeau, Macron, Putin, and every single one of them has got ties to the World Economic Forum, man. So I'm trying to figure out what is really, I think it's, then the Ukraine. The Ukraine seems to be a little bit of a canard, I think. Not if you're living there, of course. I mean, if you're experiencing it firsthand, I wouldn't say that. But I mean, from where we're coming from, discussing it geopolitically, I think it's a just see what's over here thing.
I wouldn't be in that camp. Definitely not. I'm more in the that the world's attention should be on this, and we should be doing everything we can to end this as soon as possible. Because it is definitely swinging in a direction that we allow it to go to its final stage.
Okay. So let me ask you this: when you say end this, what are we ending?
Yeah, so that's the point. So and this is something that has been a huge personal problem for me on Twitter over the course of this week. I know you don't really use Twitter anymore, but I used to because they've now been unfollowed. But you used to follow a lot of alternative media outlets and this sort of thing. Alternative media figures, these sorts of people. And of course was very much in agreement in their positions vis-a-vis Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, all these different places, right, where the United States has gone in, NATO has gone in, the Western world has gone in, and destroyed them, and used militarism to achieve its objectives. What they have not seemed to be able to do over the past week is realise that militarism as a policy choice needs to be called out regardless of where it's coming from. And this is something very different to what we discussed a couple of weeks ago, where we both said neither of us are pacifists, which is very different to being a militarist. Militarist is someone who goes around the world using military force to get what they want. So they're going to blow stuff up and kill people to take from them what they want. A pacifist would say, well, that's terrible, and we should also never use war. I think there is an appropriate use for force in the world, and it is defensive. And the way that you use defensive force, we do have some good examples of it in world history. World War II is definitely the best one that's closest to us. The question becomes, and why this is muddied, and why it has been muddied on Twitter in the past week, and why it's been, I think, very let down by what a lot of people have been posting about this, is it's come down to this whataboutism. So a lot of what people have been saying on Twitter is, well, you're angry about Ukraine, and you're angry about Russia invading Ukraine, but you weren't angry about wars A, B, C, D, E. Okay, that's fine. But can we, instead of using this as a preaching moment, maybe we could use it as a teaching moment? And this could be used to grow an overall anti-militarist movement, anti-war movement that can call out militarism wherever it comes from. But right now, I think a lot of people are just falling into this. Well, you want to be against this, but you're only against it because the media is telling you to be against it. Or you're only against it because it's Russia and you think Russia is evil. But we have to be far more intelligent than that. We have to be more mature than that. And we have to be able to say, well, yes, the US, militarism. Russia, militarism. And we have to be able to say that out, and say that out loud. And we could use it to build something that I think is more useful than just pointing at people and saying, well, you didn't say it then, It's really just a childish, immature position that I don't think helps this situation. And like you said, this is killing people. It's destroying people's lives, looking at least 150,000 people displaced. This is the new refugee crisis. And, then it's like, what do we do?
Well,
I think my last point would be, I think we need mass public pressure is what we need. I don't want necessarily intervention in this from anyone in particular, but I would want to see masses of people in the streets, like we're already starting to see in Russia. And those people came out immediately. Those people came out in the dead of night, and they were out there, and they were ready to say no to what Putin and his government was doing. So that was really good to see, and we see the protests are spreading around the world. Global protest movement against militarism. That would be fantastic.
All right, when you get into that one, like the thing that I first hear is, so
this is the regulatory diamond commodity.
I'm gonna get this one.
Coins are all equal. A $1.2 trillion natural resource, finally available to investors. Learn more at diamondstandard.co.
This winter, the only
Not
thing
unless
better
they are
than
in
making
front of you,
plans
though.
is sleeping through them. Shop Mattress Firm's President's Day sale to find top brands with a low price guarantee and save up to $700 when you get a king for the price of a queen. Save today at Mattress Firm.
I thought I was gonna get it.
who's in defense? Who's in the defensive posture? Because you begin to dig a little bit.
We'll try again.
Even peripherally. I mean, the United States has dumped $1 billion of armaments into Ukraine over the last year. So in a 1 year period, we've dumped $1 billion of arms into the Ukraine. And then you look at a lot of the stuff with this Minsk Treaty and a lot of the stuff that's been going on over there for a while. So I wonder if again, I was looking at our thing. We were talking about this a month ago. Like we saw this looming on the horizon a month ago. And we talked a lot about how the people that were going to take this on the chin again was the Ukrainian population. So that's a given. They're the European shoe toy between Asia and Europe. So let's just remove that from the table for a second, the Ukrainian population for a minute, and understand that they just happen. That just happens to be the battleground of something that's much bigger So my first thought is, who's in defense, right? On a certain level, because I don't know if it's clear cut. I think that there's a very knee-jerk reaction after 6 years of straight Russia propaganda perpetrated by mainstream media that just by default view a certain way NATO-centric geopolitical view, right? And then my next thought about it is when you say like militarism and all of that stuff, within the first 24 to 48 hours, Putin was doing whatever he was doing. You also had bombing strikes on Yemen, you had bombing strikes on Somalia, and you had bombing strikes on Syria, right? And you have the ongoing. So basically, this is what I found a little bit when I see the people in the street with the peace that
Fuck yeah.
they're full of it. Because those people haven't stood up for the Palestinians who are under the boot daily. And all you gotta do is go to some of these pages and watch the live feed of Palestine getting jackbooted on a daily basis. And this seems to me a little bit that has something when you strip it down and realize that every one of these people is one of Klaus Schwab's people. Like every one of them across the board almost is a Klaus Schwab acolyte. And you get into this thing with the SWIFT bank, with the SWIFT stuff and the sanctions and the whole thing. I don't see any resistance to this by the West. I see a lot of talk, but I don't see any resistance to this. This seems to be like a deliberate let them do their thing to distract us from something else.
Yeah, so again, I'm sorry to say yes, although I don't think it's terrible. We should do that as well. And let's use this as a teaching moment for those people who look at our instruments. Yeah, we can say they are full of it. I think it's more constructive to try to say to those people, hey, yes, you're right, we're against this. Did you know that this was also going on? I would like to tell you about that, and you should also
but that's what I mean is what would they be against? Because what I see what the big be against thing is propping up a broken global economic system that hates them. And I think it seems to me that this is all a big psyop to trick everybody while not digging a little bit deeper. So the teaching moment I think is to say you guys are full of it and you don't really actually believe in peace, or you would have been championing this for a long time ago, because the Ukraine has been sitting there ready to light the fuse now because of a decade ago, you know? Yeah, it's very convenient.
So all these kids that are out in the streets now, right, they're 20 years old. This is really their first goal. So to look at that.
February clearance event for savings you don't want to miss. Save up to 70% while you still can on
These kids are out there, this is their first conflict, and the first big thing that they've seen on TV. For me, it was Afghanistan. Afghanistan. Yeah, that would be the first big one, and then Iraq. Iraq's the one I remember. I remember vividly happening. I don't really remember the war in Afghanistan too much at the start, but I remember Iraq taking place. So for me, that was right. And for them, I think this is a lot of their first war. It's their introduction to the peace movement, peace studies kind of welcome aboard.
But well, that's what I think. This is what so my thing I cut my teeth on was Belgrade and Sarajevo, right? That's when I saw. So this thing has been going on, right? So I think to just insert peace movement here, that seems to be a little bit of like standard playbook. And to me, something else is, as a person who get, I'll be super clear. Like I when it started, I went stocked up my gas, and not all like it's coming to me. I got enough lead and the whole thing, and then I did that for about 24 hours, and then I sat back and was like, wait a minute, what's really going on here? I'm getting all this info.
Or did you sit back and say, wait a minute, because there wasn't a bomb falling on your house? So you
I would argue that the bomb already fell on us. I would argue that we are in the rubble already, and we just don't know it yet because the buildings are intact. I think that's what I mean is I think when you dig on this, where I look at it a little bit as the puppet show was the UN thing the other day. I listened to the UN thing the other day, you know? And the only one that I absolutely thought kind of nailed it over the plate was Kenya. Kenya went hard, dude. And they called out Libya. And again, is the whataboutism, I don't get into the whataboutism, but I think that there's a certain amount of convenience to get uptight about this when you could definitely, going back to the first thing I was asking, who's in defense, right? And Libya was a straight foreign overseas invasion. There was no border going on. Like, that was straight brutality. And that has a lot of ties to the same characters that are doing this. So when I see what's going on, especially with how, again, I get more in. I've begun to stop almost buying into the deeper aspect and just look at the surface level of these people. I go a little bit on the Putin. So Putin's not an idiot. Like, that dude's wired in. So he's not, I do not believe he's on some sort of sacrificial mission because he wants a little gold trophy on his thing. He's up to something, and he knows exactly what he's doing. And I think he called the bluff on the West. And they have shown exactly what I saw right off the bat. Is woke, loony, lefty, heads of state mean weak populations. And so you have, what I see going on is cancel culture on a geopolitical level. Like, it's just cancel. We're gonna take away your bank card. Like, basically, that's what they told him. And I argue they don't care. I do not think that the Russians care on any level about that. Sure, some kids in St. Petersburg are all fired up because, you know, they're worried. Yeah, you would be worried if you were of military conscript age, absolutely, on just practical levels. But I think on like the underpinnings of the adult structure, I don't think they care. And I think they're rolling the dice on this whole thing, because I think that Putin sees that the West is so pathetic. I argue that the West is pathetic, and the weakness is in the leaders that we've puppeted to the front of the stage. The fact that any self-respecting Western nation can have someone like Macron or Trudeau or the dude with the messy hair in the UK and the drooling old senior citizen in the United States who can't put a sentence together, I think they just straight are like, you guys aren't going to do anything. I don't think he has any ambitions outside of the thing. I think he's got something he wants. said, I'm going to come and do it. You ain't going to do a thing about it, and kick rocks. I think that's the deal, and we'll see if the Wag the Dog show kicks on. I mean, it looks like we could just stalemate there forever, which is Ukraine, right?
So I would look at Putin a little differently now. I don't think he's the same Putin that he was. What year are we in? 2022, 2050. I don't think he's the same Putin that he was 7 years ago. I think he's changed. So let's look at what happened in Syria. So we could use this as an example and something different. So with Syria, what happens? The West, the UK, France, the United States specifically, decided to train an army of terrorists, send them into Syria, and attempt to overthrow the Syrian government. Assad, president of Syria, calls up Mr. Putin, or Mr. Putin calls him up, and the conversation is, hey, we need help. We would like you, Russia, to come help us, Syria. Okay, sounds good. And that's what happens. And that can happen. That can absolutely happen legally in the structure of the world. One country can ask another country for help in any aspect that they want. So this happens. Russia goes there, and what happens? Russia is exceptionally successful. And one of the reasons why ISIS no longer really exists on the face of the earth is because the Russian military erased them from the face of the earth. Now what's happened? This in Ukraine, very different. So on Monday, Putin comes out and he says, we're recognizing these two states in Ukraine as independent countries. Then what does he do? He says these independent countries are inviting us in as another independent country to help out. Well, the problem there, right, is in what he did. He is just recognizing them as countries. Nobody else is recognizing them as countries. And unfortunately, this is how the world works in terms of norms and what can and cannot happen. The world tends to be, how do most countries see something? Well, specifically, how do most countries in the international community see something? And that's, of course, the Western world. So he does this, goes in. Initially, again, we're just going to provide assistance to these two new countries, these two new states that carved out Ukraine. Decides to invade, and we're now into day, 3, 4 of this invasion. So he calls NATO's bluff, like you said, goes in, but what has he now found? Well, he may have just found his Iraq or his Afghanistan. He may have just found a problem that he cannot actually solve with military force. And I think this is a dramatic miscalculation on his part. We see the entire country is rising up. I don't think he expected this. I thought he's probably expecting a more welcoming reception from the Ukrainians. Didn't receive that at all. And like you said, the US has been funneling how many millions, billions of dollars worth of weapons into this country for how many years? 8 years we're looking at since 2014.
God fucking damn it. I thought I had this one.
They tried to destroy a lot of the military infrastructure with the missile strikes and then the air strikes. I don't think that went well, as we can see now, because the resistance that is being put up against this is, I think, far more than they had planned for.
That was insane. I shouldn't have qualified there
at all. What do you do next? Because there are lots of images and videos online of Russian convoys that are completely destroyed, captured Russian soldiers, captured by civilians on the street. I think this has quickly gotten out of control and not in a good way for him. So the question is, what do you do next? And in terms of options there are no good options. What are you going to do? Are you going to carpet bomb Kiev? That's really not an option. I mean, look at the response that we've had so far to this, right? Like you said, with the banking, everything else that's gone on. I think something that's really big that people aren't picking up on is this international response and how it is blowing far beyond what I think even Putin was thinking about. Just think of the Klitschko brothers, the two boxing champions. Have you seen this? No. So they're Ukrainians. One of them is actually the mayor of Kiev, believe it or not. And now they are on the streets with AK-47s in their hands, ready to fight. Now imagine, God forbid, if one of those two guys, international sporting legends, was killed in this Russian invasion. I think the ideological turn against this has been huge. And I think it's as important as the military turn against this. So in terms of...
Be illuminated. New Revlon Illuminates Foundation. Makeup meets skincare with 5% squalane plus hyaluronic acid to hydrate, boost radiance, and smooth wrinkles. Illuminate what's inside.
I would absolutely say the Ukrainian government is on the defense. And if we do want countries to be countries, we should say that the Ukrainian government is on the defense. But are there other factors involved here that absolutely have a share in responsibility for getting us to this point? You bet. Military-industrial complex, looking at you. Hello. NATO, hello. I'm looking at you. Since... I don't remember if it was back in 2014, but at least from 2016, NATO has had an office in Ukraine. They've been trying to shift the Ukrainian military in line with NATO. They've done a lot of stuff, which is everything but saying, hey, Ukraine, you're a member of NATO. There's lots of plans online, like we looked at 2 weeks ago from the Atlantic Council, where they say, we need to change Ukraine to open it up to the Western world, to open it up for transnational corporations to come in here and have their way with the resources and the plunder that they can get their hands on. So yes, I think there's a lot of blame to go around, but I think right now our blame and focus has to be on Putin, because again, you can make all kinds of arguments. If Russia was sending all these weapons to Mexico, what would the United States do? That doesn't make what the United States would do right. That would still be wrong. So if we're going to say that's wrong, we have to say this is wrong as well.
I think that's in a weird way where I've divorced myself from that narrative. And
qualified.
The right, wrong. I think when I see what's really going on, is it's justifying the status quo on a level, and what I think's being challenged here in the most brutal way is that status quo. I think that the way it's been going is you had. Well, it goes back to my first question: who is in defense? From the way it's being portrayed, again, the electromagnetic signal of information is controlled by the West, by the gatekeepers, right? We're only getting no matter what it is, we're getting information from the West, if you will, from they're invaders and this, and I kind of go, man, you box the person into the corner, right? Call it this giant nation. You've badgered them for. So you're sitting there as Putin, as the Russian chain of command, as the leaders, the oligarchs, whatever you want to call them. And you've been watching the American power structure essentially say that we're going to start a war with you.
Oh, stay in the spotlight, okay.
Like the Clintons, that whole Hillary thing, when they came, everybody, who didn't think that this was going to go that way the minute the sleepy guy and the cabal of the Obamanites got in there, right? It was written in, we dodged it for 4 years, right? So I think if I'm a street fighter, right, on a level, and I know I'm coming in hot.
That was a weird
one. I'm not
one.
waiting to take the punch. And I think that the mess that's made, I don't tend to think that there aren't think tanks over there with all of the same stuff going, let's think here. And I go if I'm the street fighter and I'm looking at the West and I go, these people are split, they're divided, the patriots are lame. In all these countries, they've taken it over the barrel by these scientific freaks for 2 years, and they've tortured their children. I think on a certain level, if I was a leader, again, as I take it from the perspective of let me be a ruthless leader, and I would go, if you ever wanted to make a move, you better make a move now. While the West is divided, I think that whether it's deliberate or by design, I think he took one big look at what was going on in Canada too, and was like, wow, the West is about to fall under the foot of tyranny. Like they watching Fancy Pants up there, and this is me bringing it down a notch because I'll still say they're all Klaus Schwab's guys. That all of them. Tulsi Gabbard, Dan Crenshaw, every single one of these global players is a World Economic Forum acolyte. So I'll take it down a notch and just say that it's not all orchestrated and be like, okay, it's a street fight. And I think that Putin took a look at what's going on in the West. America's about to enter like some sort of like insanity here. I'm a mellow guy, dude, but I know that it's coming. I'm doing my best to make it not happen, but nobody's gonna put up with this stuff. Or maybe they are. Maybe America just takes this boot to the head. And either way, I think that a dude like that, let's say Putin's the puppet, their little leader guy who they let run the show because he's a strong-arm guy, and they're like, well, leave him out there. We don't want our name on the door.
Is that your hand?
Yes.
As a dish?
Yes.
Go for the handful.
I think he looks at the West and goes, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. If the only way the West has either total totalitarian financial ruin and barcodes and slave mentality and neo-feudalism, or it devolves into this balkanized civil war perspective that I think's right around the corner, man. And once that happens, all of that stuff scatters because there you go. Look at the Soviet Union, right? The Ukraine, once vassal state of USSR, got convinced to de-arm and turn over all their tacticals and their nukes, and they have been left sitting ducks by design for a long time.
So my big point would be on the street fighter aspect. We do not
Oh, I was
want
the
to be
last
aspiring
one.
to this. We want to be going
We
above
won, though.
and beyond this idea that, well, I've got an opportunity, so I should go ahead and do it. Yes, I agree. That's what I think Putin did here, and he completely called NATO's bluff and has gone for it. He didn't have to do that, is my point. So he could have chosen to do something else. He could have chosen to lead the world in an alternative fashion, an alternative direction, and in actual fact was doing that about 10-ish years ago. No, that'd be longer than 10 years ago now, with the BRICS Bank. You remember that? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, the BRICS. So this was going on, and the idea was, well, we're going to develop an alternative financial and political system to the West, to the World Bank and the IMF, and we're going to go around the world and we're going to help countries out. No longer do you have to go to the IMF and impose draconian austerity measures on your country to be able to get a loan from the IMF. You'll be able to get one from the BRICS Development Bank instead.
That was it.
That has all been
Are you kidding me?
wayside. I haven't heard anything about BRICS in a very long time. I think it may have even come to an end as sort of a collection of countries as well. I'm not sure they bother meeting anymore. But yeah, this is my point. I thought Putin was way smarter than this. I think he has been way smarter than this in the past, and this is a tremendous miscalculation. And done something also that you just said. This is going to justify the global status quo for, I don't know, probably the rest of my lifetime. I don't see how now, how do we challenge NATO after this? How do we not even expand NATO after this? How do we say the military-industrial complex has got to go after this? All of these things now become far harder to achieve. So in terms of ulterior motives and the West sitting back and letting this happen, you can bet that there are some people that are definitely thinking along those lines. Who cares if he's invading Ukraine? Let him go ahead and do it. Because now we at Raytheon, or we at name your military-industrial complex big-time player, we're now going to be in business for the next 50 years at least, because now we've got big, bad Vlad and whoever comes after him in the presidency of Russia. So we're going to be able to continue on the business of war for the foreseeable future. So yeah, none of that is good. None of that is good at all. And challenging that stuff and bringing it in an alternative direction, I think is harder than ever. And like you said, the West, yeah, I think it was going in this very divisive direction. Just look at COVID, look at the state of our nations, look at the state of our kind of regions of the world, and the global north, as we would call it, in complete chaos, completely falling apart at the seams. Well, yes, it is still kind of all falling apart at the seams, but now what do we have? Now there is this big beacon shining in the sky saying everyone needs to care about this, and everyone is caring about this. And I think this is another big miscalculation of Putin. This is not Syria, right? If
I
you
didn't even know
bomb
how to do that
Syria
one.
and destroy a village in Syria and you kill 5 babies, for instance, right? That may come out into the news somewhere. You may get some sort of grainy video footage from
This is a quote. You give a speech at one insurrection. It looks like that's a quote from.
I knew this was coming.
Is that what he said?
I knew
that's
Kanye
the quote
was
from
the star.
alternate.
Whoa, that's crazy. At the beginning, after being told to call a generic helpline, I was informed by the PNC representative that per the terms and conditions, PNC reserves the right to reevaluate their business relationships at any time and terminate accounts without cause.
You know, just started a bank.
Whoa.
John Rich, Donald Trump, Donald.
Yo, that's scary, man.
Trump.
This is what happens. This is what happens, and this is why. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me here, but I was very concerned with the compulsion to disavow Kanye because he had just been banned from Chase Bank, and that to me, no matter what he said, is really scary. But conservatives, even if they had never said anything even remotely similar to what Kanye said, they had this compulsion to disavow, which
the
makes it
debanking
worse.
had been a thing for a long time before it even happened to Kanye.
Yep.
It set the precedent, but that's just
I gotta read this one. It's a good one. Eric Christensen says, I have a question to ask about the title of this episode. Rumored? The title of the episode is Fetterman Rumored Brain Dead. And, okay, figuratively, he's brain dead. Literally, it's rumored that he's brain dead, okay? So, we can call Fetterman brain dead if we mean he's just not functioning properly. But in this context, it was like, the rumor is that he's literally in a chair, drooling and going, like, not functioning. But, good super chat, very funny. Alright, what do we got here? Heron Gaming News says, I can hear Luke going, ree, when Tim said Anarchist Society doesn't work. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. Every attempt at an anarchist society has been crushed militaristically. I'm not saying it's not ideal or that we couldn't implement it in the future. I'm saying historically, every time there's been a community of anarchists, they've been crushed by outside forces. Short-lived. A bunch of people sitting around being like, let's vote on how to deal with the insurgent hordes that are storming into our territories. And then by the time they figure it out, hey, gone. So there's always some kind of mix. There's always some kind of executive.
It's when the executive knows that it's dangerous situations is when they're needed, is when they create dangerous situations so that they're needed. That's when the anarchy needs to step up.
It's just making my
Red Rum Max says, funny how Ian has on his Twitter pinned that he will build muscle this year and yet is as sickly looking as ever.
It's February. No, it's March.
It's March.
I'm gonna lose this one.
I'm not healthy. I think I have a parasite. I need to cleanse my body, fix my dental work. I just had a tooth break today. Like, I need to fix my teeth. I'm like the United States. I'm like a shell that's like not being kept up properly. I haven't been taking care of myself. I haven't been getting enough sunlight.
Just put on the muscle suit and come on the show. And
there it is. But I really need to purge my body of disease or whatever the hell is in it right now.
hope you're okay.
I feel like I'm living in pain, but I'm desensitized to the pain. So I haven't been realizing. I'm like my jaw hurts, like almost like constant pain.
All right, Thomas Sidebottom says, in the age of deepfakes, the in-person campaign tours will become incredibly powerful. No more basement campaigns. Yep. James Madison's Ghost says, AI deepfake videos will become the fake news headlines that get shadow changed a day later after everyone has already read them, misinforming people. Yeah, man. The Trump example of disavowing white supremacists is exactly it. They will make a deepfake, alter one word to make it sound worse, and that's all liberals will see. Welcome to the future. Dorktanian says you're very optimistic about this. There are going to be bots automatically feeding news stories to the AI skewed in their favor to have instant deepfakes created as the stories pop up. Yup. So we're using AI for timcast.com news articles. When there's a story, we're not all of it. Sometimes we'll just get a picture of the guy and we're making our own custom art for everything. But some of it is AI deepfake in that, like, we did a story about Pete Buttigieg and the train derailment. So our news team just AI generated a Pete Buttigieg art with a train derailment art, and that's what we used for the story. It's not a real picture. No one would confuse it as being a real picture because it looks like a painting. But we are using AI for the characterization of these things.
I wonder if photorealistic art AI stuff should be watermarked or banned.
Nope.
You'll never be able to ban it.
Free speech.
free speech to make
Did we
you say something?
I
don't know about that.
I don't know if we did the Star Trek joke in the Cast Castle episode, but considering it's already out anyway, I'm going to say it. But we took Captain Picard and Data and deepfaked a conversation between the two of them, where Data accuses Picard of being racist because of disparaging remarks about Klingons. And you know, my brother made a funny joke about it. I don't know if it's actually in the episode, but that was an idea I had, where I was like, if the gag is the camera comes into the room and I'm sitting there watching Star Trek, then we can make Star Trek say whatever we want
on the TV.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I'm sitting there watching the TV, and you can see like the Enterprise fly in, and then it cuts to my face, and you hear Data being like, "I just can't quite figure out how to give it to her properly, sir." Well, Data, you have to try and thrust, you know, things like that. And then I'm just going like, that was a good episode. So we can make any show say anything we want. Yeah, we should just do it all the time. It's hilarious. But this one was particularly offensive, so I don't know if it made it in the episode. I don't know. But all I know is if it did, it was hilariously edgy. It was good. We'll talk about it in the members only show. All right, where are we at? Matthew Waddle. Like Adam Saline, the AI leader of the rebel movement in Heinlein's The Moon is a harsh mistress. The book was written in the 60s. Interesting. All right, where are we at? E-Wape says need to start attributing a cryptographic hash to metadata of official videos. Can't use legally if the hash doesn't match public key. Nope. Because there's screen grabs. Because there's compression. Because there's downloads. So you can try and attach metadata tags to things, but there will be, as soon as Trump gives a speech, there will be 15 versions of that speech on the internet. Figure out which one's the real one. And what they'll do is the fake ones, they'll get meta tags too, and they'll say, no, ours is the real one. Then you'll get nefarious actors that will film it, deepfake it, like actual press at the event. They will film Trump speak, then they will deepfake alter it, put a meta tag on it, and be like, that's the real one. Here's proof, a picture of me at the event. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do?
Maybe supply the original meta tags and be like, this is the original, this is the earliest date, if the date's in the meta tag. I don't know if that stuff can be forged. If you have a technical solution, you think you do, hit me up on Twitter with it.
I want to give a shout out to, I think it's Mel and Rye. Rock, Paper, Scissors Anime is an amazing video. I talked about this a little bit, I think, earlier. This YouTube channel, Corridor Crew, they used AI technology to turn themselves into anime characters. So in order to make an anime battle, it's anime rock, paper, scissors. Two brothers fight over the throne by playing rock, paper, scissors, and it's actually really funny. Like when they rock, paper, scissors shoot, there's like wind, and like the windows all explode, and they're like, ugh. But they filmed themselves in a green screen, then used AI to convert that into anime. Then they took photorealistic environments from Unreal Engine, I think, converted that to anime, to like animation style, and then made this show without actually drawing anything.
That's
yeah. But we're not going to, it's in my opinion, it's still rudimentary. I think we're a couple of years away from you typing in, make me an anime about two brothers fighting over the throne, and it will just start rendering, and then it'll be like, come back in 10 minutes, boom, here's a 15-minute episode. It's going to be crazy, because I'm going to be like, write a sequel to the X-Files movie where Mulder actually discovers there are aliens, and then I'll watch it, and I'll actually enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, it's going to be less about making the best piece of art and more about making consistently good art. Because there's going to be so much of it that there might be flash in the pans of this is so great, that's so great, but the really great ones are going to get reused and recopied and reprinted over and over again. So you just need to be known for putting out lots and lots and lots, if you want to make a career in it, I mean.
In art?
What's that?
In art?
Yeah, digital art.
Baby Leg Bennett says, Ian, the meaning of life is to simply live a life full of meaning. Now please roll me a 77. Okay. Okay. Uh-oh. No, that doesn't count. It fell off. This thing never stops rolling.
It's quite circular.
Oh, where's it going? Okay, it's rolling. Is it going to be a 77? And it's... Nope. Decided to keep going.
You guys ever do a Ouija board?
Where's it? It's going to fall off. Wait.
You should.
No, I should.
75. Whoa. Close one.
It is 75. Wow.
Oh, that's
sorry.
close.
Next time, I'm getting better.
That's why I wanted to rate this one, because I'm like, if you roll, this isn't actually 77%. But 75, that's only two points away, man. That's a fairly accurate call right there. The price was wrong. The price is wrong, bitch. All right. Carlos Wise says, Ian, the purpose of kids is to set them up to have an even better life than you. You don't want them to just have what you have, but to exceed you. I half agree. You want, in order for kids to have a better life than you, they have to experience hardship to become strong. So a big mistake a lot of people make is they raise their kids and say, I'm going to give my son things I never had. So I'm going to send him to a good school, and I'm going to buy him a new car, and I'm going to give him all these things I wish I had. It's like, bro, you are successful because of things you didn't have. Giving your kid all this stuff just means he's going to be entitled when he's older and be like, why won't the government give me a new car? So what you should do is, when you have your kid, bring him out to the woods and, teach him to fight, punch trees, and start fires, like campfires, and, survive. Not
Start forest fires.
Start fires. Yeah, fire. No, none of that. All right. Cowboy Redux says the internet has already destroyed politics long before deepfakes. Politicians do not do their job. They only virtue signal on social media. The people that vote for them live in a spectacle economy inundated with depravity. Yeah, but let's be real. Before the internet, you'd get people like Hillary Clinton, and they'd go to New York and be like, yeah, you gotta vote for me, because I'm just like you guys, huh? Vote for me, yeah. Then they go down to Alabama and be like, you gotta vote for me, because I'm just like you. And they go to Chicago and be like, if you vote for me, I'll keep your grocery store open or fixed so people don't mind. That's what Hillary Clinton was doing. Because internet video wasn't a thing when she was younger. So she went down to like Arkansas or whatever and started talking with a southern drawl, and it's like, oh please, Senator Hillary Clinton. And USC did the same thing.
Ugh.
She has no internet.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as
Oh yeah. Alright, what do we got? Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, Ian, sir, please stop blaming 2006 YouTube content.
Hey man, don't knock it till you try it. Put your emotions and your true honesty and your face on the internet on video after video and listen to people and make responses and create community. Try it. It's not easy.
Get him, Ian.
All right, let's grab. We'll grab one more Rio super chat. Let's see. Neglectful Sausage says, I've always said Star Trek is racist AF. In Next Generation, Picard says like a Romulan or like a Klingon to people, using race as an insult. DS9 was the same. Well, okay, well, yes, that's a good point, and you should watch Cast Castle to see the bit we did, because it's basically that. So if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button? Subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Become a member over at timcast.com by clicking Join Us, and in about 10 minutes we'll have the live, uncensored after show up for all of you to hang out. And we've got some pretty dark stuff to talk about. It's not going to be family friendly, so you're being warned. You can follow the show at TimCastIRL. You can follow me personally.
How's your night going, whoever's watching me?
Just the Babylon Bee, and you can buy my children's book.
Feel free to chat.
At brave.us.
People find you on Twitter?
Yes, at St. Clair Ashley.
You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter. They're both very archived, and subscribe to Pop Culture Crisis. We go live at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, every Monday through Friday. We talk about celebrities, movies,
Good show. I've been on that many times. You guys follow me at Ian Cross on anywhere on the internet? Pretty much everywhere on the internet, any social network.
And I am at Sir.com on everything.
Tomorrow at 1 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast, we will have a hangout interview/conversation with Pete Parada, formerly of The Offspring, and we're going to talk about the issue he faced with the vax mandates, how he was unceremoniously removed from The Offspring after 14 years. And I gotta tell you guys a great story.
I should have known something like that would have happened.
2 of his videos out of 3 we've done so far. Technically there's 4, but 2 of the ones we've done recently. One's not out yet. It's currently being edited, and he came out here with film. He's amazing. He's an amazing drummer. It's an honor.
Fuck me. I might lose this.
He's drummer with The Offspring for 14 years because they were my childhood favorite band. But he's never publicly done an interview
That
about
hurts.
being kicked out of the band.
My
He's a
soul.
very humble, kind of quiet guy. But I asked him if he would want to come on and talk about this and give us the full
Losing
picture.
out Fall Guys is traumatic.
So we're going to be recording a tomorrow morning for the Culture War podcast episode 2. But here's the crazy story. Last night after this show, I go home and I'm getting ready for bed and I press power on the TV. The only thing I press. And because usually I watch like Yellowstone or 1883, but I finished watching those. So I watched some movie last night. So I go into my bedroom and I turn the TV on, throw the remote in the bed, go into the bathroom, take my contacts out. When all of a sudden I start hearing Kill Boy Powerhead, an Offspring song, and I'm like, what? And then I walk out and Allison, my girlfriend, she's like, did you turn this on? And I was like, I turned the TV on. It was the Offspring playing at a rock concert, playing the song Kill Boy Powerhead, and Pete's playing the drums on the show, and I was like, oh, look, it's Pete. And then Allison's like, you didn't turn this on? And I'm like, all I did was turn the TV on. I didn't turn a channel on, I didn't turn...
Oh, I was eliminated, motherfucker.
So I have no idea why that turned on, but it was just
God damn it.
Yeah, part of the algorithm's manipulating us to see what the machine creators want us to do.
I think it's the Ouija board.
But
all I
synergy
did was
is
press
real.
power.
Like sometimes synergy is real. It's like God, like spirituality, and I'm afraid that people might lose the distinction between algorithmic manipulation and God actually moving people together.
So look, normally when I turn the TV on, it's static. Like, because you get the home bar, it's like an LG, and like the bar pops up, and you got to pick HBO or Paramount or whatever, and usually it's like Amazon. I turned the TV on this time, and I didn't think twice, and then it started playing a rock performance from The Offspring, and it's just
Which is weird, because those smart TVs, even if you turn it off, like it resets. You have to go back to the app. That's
very weird. Anyway, we're gonna go to the members only show, uncensored at timcast.com. So, and also check out the Culture War podcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. youtube.com/timcast. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all there. Anonymity?
Yeah,
is that the word?
something like that. But it is unanimous.
In order for there to be a functioning anarchist society, everyone has to agree with minimal dissent. That meant when they were trying to make a decision, you could have one or two dissenters, but it had to be like 95% of people in agreement.
And when one bad idea got into that group, it spread like fire, or had the potential to. And then all of a sudden you get 98% of the people are like, bad idea now. And
But what ended up happening was, you had a handful of people who knew for a fact if we don't get bins to store clothing, it's rotten, it's getting soggy wet, it's growing mildew, it's getting filthy, and our food is spoiling. We need bins to seal this stuff from the rain. And they couldn't get it done. Because every time they would say, we want to use funds to buy bins, they'd be like, no, plastics are bad for the environment. No, it's got to be recycled, it's got to be fair trade, it's got to come from a mom and pop shop. And so they finally agreed, okay, you can get the bins so long as they're fair trade, recycled, not in the box store. And they couldn't find that. It was impossible. So what did they do? They just went and bought from Walmart or whatever they could find. And that just didn't tell anybody. Because the anarchist system just literally didn't work. You couldn't find it. And so when it came to that system being broken, a bunch of these facilitators were like, how about we create a new system called the Spokes Council? Well, the problem was, it was a General Assembly. Nobody would agree. They were like, no, you are not changing the system because you can't get what you want. So then one day, there was the funniest thing ever. They all say, all in favor of the new Spokes Council system, and like 2/3 of the people clap, and then the third are like blocking and saying no, and the guy goes, let me count. Yeah, we passed, it worked. And then it was just like, no, you're just saying that, and people went along with it. Because, like, what are you supposed to do? The guy talking said it happened, it happened.
The last night I was at Occupy with the council, we were working on, they wanted to build a decentralized Craigslist kind of thing where you could send items to people that need it, like protesters, and that was the idea. Maybe a technological solution is the way to develop anarchy. I don't know what ever happened.
You did it.
I guess Craigslist itself is not technically decentralized on a bunch of servers, but the idea is you work with the seller, you don't have to go through a central portal, so it's
like Craigslist for philanthropic causes.
Yeah, it was supposed to be.
By the way, the rants and raves section on Craigslist is top tier, better than Twitter.
Yeah.
I love it.
Maybe we should make a show based on that.
Craigslist?
Just reading Craigslist rants.
You ever read like the misconnections?
Yeah. Me and my friends used to make fake ones.
Saw you at the studio, but you were deep in the computer.
We had one where it was like, I see you all the time. I saw you at work. I don't think you noticed me. And then like it increasingly got darker and darker, where it was like, I remember seeing you walk home. You were so beautiful. I don't know if you've noticed me, but I want to give you my number. I was standing outside your house. I looked through your window. Things like that. Just really funny. But actually, it sounds like a really good idea. We should write that down. Like commenting on Craigslist rants.
You're actually writing it down.
Yeah, let's jump to this story. This one's a good one. So we have this fact check from WTHR. Viral video of Biden saying he's reinstating the draft is a deepfake. In the video, President Joe Biden appears to say he's reinstating the draft so the U.S. can help defend Ukraine against Russian forces. The video is a deepfake. I love that this was fact-checked because it was made by Turning Point. It was on Jack Posobiec's show, and he outright says that it's not a real. Like, he explains, we are showing you of what is to come, and it's meant to be provocative. And then the media is like, uh-oh, people might think this is real. All right, well, here's why I think this is worth talking about. Election season's coming up. We are going to see deep fakes, and they are going to improve at the speed of maximum economic investment. Yeah, but some of them are going to be scary. But yeah, hilarious too. Like the one of Joe Biden and Trump playing Overwatch is one of the funniest.
They keep making them. There's one with Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson and Elon comes in. I can't find the boss. The Overwatch one is just...
Oh, I'm gonna get fucked here. No, maybe not. I don't know.
Jesus Christ, I come in here trying to get a quick cue and Biden-nator, the Trump saying it. But, you know what I think we're going to see is, how much money do they invest in presidential elections? It's got to be what? Billions? Billions. It was. I think Obama was $1 billion. So now,
I got
imagine how much money is going to be on both sides for an election, especially with how crazy things are getting in this country. And they are going to be investing. People are going to invest tens of millions into advancing deepfake technology. I guarantee it right now. Some political person, I don't care what political party, saw this and they said, we can make this impeccable. We will never lose another election again. And so they're meeting right now with deepfake companies saying, and I bet a lot of it is totally like seemingly on the level. Some guy who's got nefarious intentions goes to an AI company and says, hey,
there we go.
$1 billion into the development of the technology. And they go, wow, that's really great. Thank you for the funding. And what they intend to do with it is make realistic videos that are indistinguishable. And so my fear is not that you will see a video go viral of Joe Biden reinstating the draft. Why? Well, people are going to be like, get out of here. You never did. It's a deepfake. But what they'll do is you'll have a real video of Donald Trump saying, we should condemn them totally, referring to white supremacists and neo-Nazis. And what they'll do is they'll make an impeccable deepfake replica where he says, and some of them should be condemned totally, a very minor difference, but a drastic change in the context.
So you run it on CNN, and then if they get caught, they're just like, we didn't know.
And not even, no, it's not even that. They're going to say, that's the video. And then Trump's going to sue and say, that is not what was said. Here's the actual report. And you're going to say, look, there's 12 different videos, all seemingly of the exact same thing. We don't know which one's the real one. Because everybody knows Trump gave the speech. Everybody knows Trump said something about condemning Nazis. But the only difference is they should be, and some of them should be.
It's like a weapon. It's like a strike first kind of thing.
Yep.
The ethics of striking first is beyond me. I don't.
What's going to happen is Democrats will share the video of Trump going, and I'm not talking about the white nationalists because some of them should be condemned totally. And they're going to go, he said some of them. Like, he's implying there may be some good ones there, and they're all going to share it, and it's going to infect that bubble. And then you're going to get the right being like, no, he said they should be. You're talking about all of them. And there's going to be two different versions of one news event existing for both different political factions.
So it's going to be no different.
Did it.
I mean, they're
hell yeah. I'm not surprised. That's how we do shit around here.
At a family holiday event, and I was talking about how China was potentially getting access to the DNA from COVID tests. And, one individual was like, what? Get out of here. That's BS. That's not true. You can't say that. And then I just pulled up my phone, pulled up NPR, reporting it, and I handed it to them. They read it, and they went, oh, wow, I didn't know that. And I'm like, you're sitting here thinking I'm wrong about this. I was just citing NPR of all sources. What happens when they go, no, and they pull the video and they show you the video, and you go, that's not a real video? They'll say, you're a conspiracy theorist and you're lying. I have the video.
So what's the best way to authenticate those stuff?
Impossible.
Deepfakes?
Yeah.
We were talking about that today in one of our development meetings. I don't know. I think it's going to have to be either the person verifies the video themselves, and if it's a video of you that you don't verify, then there's no verification.
I think it's going to be a lot easier to verify the real ones rather than snipping out all the things.
But then people like Project Veritas will try and catch someone, and they'll be like, no, I don't. That wasn't a real video. Yep. So you've got to be like, at some point. The other idea is to build like a headset or some sort of tech that you can use that can see that it's a deepfake somehow. You can tell if it's AI. You got to understand the full sphere of what this means. A video will come out of, say, a guy at Pfizer saying something ridiculous like, we're mutating the virus, or,
And then what'll happen is, a Veritas-like organization will say, here's a video of the guy saying they're mutating the virus. What they'll then do is, they will make, using that video, another...
I'm just gonna dodge everything right now.
The part they cut out. And then all of a sudden you'll see another video where the guy goes, could you imagine if like someone from this company said something as crazy as, we're mutating these viruses so that we can make more money? That would be insane. And then everyone will go, oh, Veritas cut the context out. He was talking about how crazy...
Okay, this is solid.
He didn't actually say it. Wow, that proves Veritas is lying.
I could see that in other cases. In a case like Veritas, they have all the footage.
Yeah, but how do you prove a negative? If an organization, to defend itself, deep fakes your video, you can't prove the video doesn't exist. You can only prove a video does exist. So you'll get a video of Trump saying something like, you know, we're going to build a big, beautiful wall. And then the left you'll get a combination of offensive and defensive deepfakes. The left will make a video where Trump is like saying something somewhat offensive to add context to make it seem like he's racist. And then to defend against it, the Republicans will add another bit where Trump is saying, can you believe what so-and-so said?
What the fuck? Motherfucker.
Think what happens if you
God damn it.
And someone leaks audio of you saying something offensive. You can be able, you can say, hey, that's out of context. That I wasn't actually saying.
Probably wasn't.
So if Ian came on the show and said, I don't like buttered popcorn, and that clip went viral, people would be like, wow, he doesn't like buttered popcorn. If Ian said, no, that's bad, he would just make a deepfake of him saying, I would never say something like, I don't like buttered popcorn. And that inverts the context. And that's what you can do with deepfakes. It's going to be wild, man. $1 billion per campaign plus, and how much of that money can get invested in making stuff like this? Remember the meme wars in 2015-16? You ramp it up, baby, because you're going to get a combination of, you're going to get subliminal, liminal, and superliminal deepfakes. Superliminal deepfakes are going to be someone being like, and here's a new meme of Joe Biden singing the chicken song. And it'll just be Joe Biden, and it'll be silly. Then you'll get stuff that are liminal, I'm doing air quotes, a Simpsons joke, that are more like what Jack Posobiec did, where it's, some people might get confused by it, but he says what he's doing. And then the subliminal is when they just leak stuff and then don't say anything about it, and people fall for it.
They should do one of Fetterman.
I mean, but it would just be dead air.
Yeah, how would you... How would you know if they released a deep fake of Fetterman right now saying, look, here's your proof of life?
Exactly. And then what happens when, get this, John Hodgkinson runs for Senate, and everyone sees videos of him standing at the podium cheering. Everybody sees interviews with him talking about his policies. And there is no John Hodgkinson. It's an AI deepfake character that appears in the media, that appears on YouTube, that does this campaigning, and you'll see people on YouTube, and they're cheering for him. He'll have commercials where he says, vote for me, because I believe in making America great again. And then everyone's like, I'm going to vote for this guy. It's not real.
I think you made a good point that if Fetterman had a deepfake, because when they deepfake Biden, it's obvious it's a deepfake a lot of times because you can't hear the imperfections, like you can't hear the degraded quality in his brain. And a lot of times when people are when people are singing with songs, if the machine builds it, you can't tell. It's like robotically perfect. And so there's this imperfect quality to human behavior that possibly cannot be captured by the computer. But we can somehow perceive that.
So I context it. I think it will be though, and that's what's scary is I feel like technology is evolving a lot more than we are. I feel like we're pretty dumb. That's where a lot of this chaos is coming from, because we are not equipped.
Those videos of like Gen Zers being like, why do I have to have a job? They are going to be the first in line to go into the pot. They're going to say, you know, you're right about this. You shouldn't have to. Step into pot, where we will hook feeding tubes right into your gullet, and then
you got that shit. Fucking did it.
Well, that too.
They created that mentality by making it so miserable to live and survive for these kids. I mean, Gen Z gets a bad rap for being so nonchalant about it, but wouldn't you? You're never going to own anything. Most of them are not going to own houses or cars or anything. So I don't really blame them.
They've been lied to about most things, and especially like the gender stuff. Like think about being a bae femme on hormones, working at Starbucks. Starbucks and there are like 20 mobile orders. Like, and then you have like social anxiety disorder and stuff, and like
They all have disorders.
I
They're
mean,
all
it's just like it's not an enviable position.
It's boring. I agree with that. But like, you talk to people come back from the jungle after losing a leg. Like, I don't see combat vets complaining and bitching about how hard life is.
Adrian Curry says, send them to Ukraine.
I agree. That's the thing.
Send
like,
all the TikTokers to Ukraine.
Any one of these people who wants to wave the Ukrainian flag and complain about what's going on, I say we send them right over. You know,
like it's hard. I do agree that life has become treacherously dull for people, especially being lied to about the military-industrial complex and then realizing you're part of the empire. It's like, what the fuck am I doing?
I mean, the reason they wouldn't go to Ukraine is because they're like languishing the fact that they know that they're useless. Like that's they know that they would instantly die in a combat situation, and that's like demoralizing even worse.
Not advocating.
How much you want to bet? That story of you will live in the pod, you will eat the bugs, you will own nothing, and you will be happy. They're probably going to be soon.
They are. They are. I will tell you, Gen Z has that attitude. You know, I see a lot of the dialogue, especially when they're talking about, you know, if there was an apocalypse, they're saying, wow, you guys' will to live is incredible. I let it all happen. So I think these kids are
okay. Everyone just left. That's fine.
Hyper-fixated on individualism and this narcissistic society.
How the fuck do you grab onto shit?
Only themselves. And they have a meaningless life, but they have no other purpose except themselves.
I'm leaving it.
So once we took away that...
Not even themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I can't, like, figure out how to climb shit. I'm gonna look that up really quick. How to climb
I've been gaming a lot and just keep thinking, like,
Fall Guys.
I keep rinsing and repeating the same thing. There's no
R1 on PS4. What the fuck?
There's no experience gained. I don't get the ding when I do the thing. It's just non-stop.
The
Keeps happening.
indomitable human spirit and like the drive to produce the next generation.
To do what though? Eat more candy bars and watch more TV? Like what?
Go to space.
That's what I'm going through, and I think having children is a big part. I haven't done
Go
it
to
yet.
space.
Go to Mars. I
Just
go to Mars right
exploration.
now.
Keep pioneering,
Maybe it's different
you
for
know?
everybody. Explorations for some people.
See, my dreams for the future cannot be accomplished in a single lifetime. You know, I am not driven by having a fancy car or an infinity pool. I'm driven at the thought of a spaceship traveling the galaxy with a bunch of people on it being like, you know, we're 17 light years away, sir, at gauge warp. You know, that's not
What are you going to find up there?
You know, rocks. You know, maybe
People
rocks.
get bored of that too.
But, like, I've tripped my balls off and seen the
Hell yeah,
craziest
Tim.
stuff and like
It's
experienced
good to see ya.
I mean, bending reality, and it's still just like, now what? Like, even while I'm tripping, I'm like, okay, the bug is dancing on my arm. What if all things will die? And I'm like crying.
Relationships are the only thing that we need.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound like a good time, Ian.
Traveling to
the
space
upside and the
doesn't
downside
matter.
Nothing.
I appreciate the compliment. You can get me more fans if you want. That's your job.
I feel really good whenever I feed Bunko and he's happy. Like a cat.
Tim, would you go to Mars? Elon told you you could get on this mission.
But why did you feel like you needed to say that to me?
I want to go to space. I want
You want to watch it?
Well, it's cringy when they shoot themselves up into space and then just come back down like.
Ugh, God fucking damn it. Okay, I'm actually gonna go around.
Mars right
What
now.
happened to you?
Looking at spaceships getting shot up.
It's a one-way.
But I can't.
If you go to Mars, you're staying on Mars for the rest of your life.
Would you go orbit Mars?
I got stuck at the first fan.
Humans don't understand how much of their life is.
This is Fall Guys, and I got it for free.
You've got to remind them.
So I was like, why not try it out?
Nowhere and see how much anything matters.
I like the colors, though.
Well, that's why people are so sad. We took away that community. People think that they have it on social media, but really,
I won the last one, but looks like I'm not gonna make this time.
neighbors can kill you if they take off a mask. We lost that community a long time ago.
This is why solitary confinement.
Yeah.
I've been
Literally,
with my friends, air quotes, on the internet. I have 1,800
How are you so good, me?
friends who actually have.
Oh, I might actually get it. What the fuck?
Community that we get.
Family.
We got that shit.
I think when you get older, you care a lot less about...
We
when you're in school,
qualified.
You're forced to do it. Told by the system, like, here you're doing this thing, it's either school or work, and so you have...
I wasn't expecting it.
Confined space. But when humans are set off to be on their own, they focus on family, which is moving down instead of, your peer group is to your left and right, your family is generations below you. You'll care a lot more about that, and you'll strive for a lot more for that than you would just friends. So as you get older, family is the human component that people need. That's what you were just saying, man. Like, you don't get the dopamine hit. If you had a kid, you would. And that's why it's crazy. You get that Chelsea Handler video where she's like, I don't have kids, so I get to wake up, do drugs, and masturbate. And I was like, that sounds like what a 16-year-old would say, lady.
It's not just that, but it's her implication that having children is humiliating.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah, and that, like, living...
Let's get that DoorDash. That Wings of Redemption DoorDash.
Her potential, like... I mean, I'm sure you, actually, like, having become a mother, understand it's, like, very demanding, but it's constantly...
Oh, absolutely. That's, you're free. That's the best way you can live is not having children. My kid is the best thing that ever happened to me. But I also understand that it's getting tougher to have families. You don't have that village of help raise kids.
Yeah, it takes
This one is easy for me. I don't know why.
It's not ideal circumstances to have families, and I'm fortunate enough that I can provide, but a lot of people can't. And I understand that they don't have that village, they don't have the community, they don't have the economic resources. So it's kind of twofold, where you want to promote family values and tell everyone to have families, and that's your purpose, but it's also very hard for people to do that now. So I have a bunch of people trying to take your kid away from you. I see both sides. And yeah, exactly. You send them off to school. You send your son to school.
True. I don't know how to go faster. I don't know if there's a way to go faster.
What's caring? They care? Like, are they really...
Yeah, I'm gonna get fucked on this one.
Neglect and the abuse is mind-blowing. And also abuse is getting worse.
We'll figure it out.
People in society are being abused. There's like, yeah, exactly.
Have you been able to find the tribe or...
Yeah, and I'm fortunate enough to have a good support system, but I think that's where conservatives kind of fall short, is they, push these family values, but they're not really pushing any legislation or policies or changes to make it easier to have families and for families to survive. So I do think that Republicans tend to play on the defense instead of offense, and they're not making pro-family policies. They're not making it easier for people to find that purpose.
I found with all the cool people I'm meeting doing this show that I haven't really made any friends out of it. Like, I'm Jack Masovic. I love you, Jack. I like Jack.
Love Jack.
He's cool. He's like, if me and him hung out, we'd be friends. But I don't see him. And I'm realizing the community
You're an adult, bro.
Like, the community part of it is missing for me. That's what I haven't been doing lately. It's like, I've been able to talk to you, dude. I see you.
This is your fault.
I know.
Every therapy session.
Yes. Everybody comes here and they're like, I hung out at Tim Gas's castle for like 3 days. I never saw you once. And like, we're all downstairs. We had a Super Bowl party.
Alon just said he didn't see you.
Yeah, Alon, I love you.
We had a Super
You're
Bowl
so
party.
innocent.
What happened is I started making internet videos in 2006, and I was like, I can be friends with everybody. I'm going to do what Jesus would have done if he had this tech. And then I got burnt out. I was like, I can't. I started to become friends with people that were depressed, and then I would start to get depressed. And I was like, I can't be around other people because they're freaking me out.
Because he used the tech, right? Is that not why?
It was part of it. I was meeting people from all over Earth, random people that I had nothing in common with, that I was taking in their behaviors and idiosyncrasies and values and things before I even knew who they were. And I'm getting demons. I mean, they were like the darkness in humanity was starting to seep into me.
Is this drug-induced?
Lots of weed. That's probably part of it too. It's I couldn't control myself by my emotions because I was so open from my neurons all going at once.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're launching that show, Poker with the Boys, right? And it's meant to just be like a boys show, hang out. It'll be girls. It's not just boys. But like the general idea is to hang out with your friends style podcast where people are smack talking, ripping on each other. Probably talk whatever is in current news, but it won't be a news show like this. And you just gotta come to it.
But another problem I'm having, maybe people identify with this, is I don't like small talk. I'd just rather be silent and sit in silence with someone, which is very awkward.
It depends what you mean by small talk. I think like small talk is part of recognizing the dignity of the person in front of you. Niceties are also kindness.
So small
Making
talk
them feel welcome.
just more like
just
But just-
understand
I feel like
someone's
people
side.
who say I hate small talk are actually not you, Ian, but like they are the people who call themselves sapiosexuals and stuff. You're not as deep as you think. Like small talk is deep. Like you're recognizing the person across from you.
Elevate the conversation if that's your issue, Ian. If someone's like, so what did you do yesterday? And you're like, and lentil soup. And like, oh yeah, how was that? Go, let's talk about philosophy and quantum physics. Have you ever read about string theory? Just
I do.
your choice.
It's somewhat odd, but would people?
It'd be hilarious. I think
I'll try it.
And like everyone says this, but you like talking to you is an intense experience because like no one pays that close attention to me. Like anyone talking to you just feels like, whoa, you're like actually looking me in the eye and listening to what I'm saying and responding accordingly. Like that's a rare experience in human conversation, and it's a good thing.
You think it's becoming more common?
No.
I think people are disassociating from each other,
Yeah.
and they're spending more times in virtual spaces and virtual reality and video games and things like that. They're not having kids. I gotta tell you, there's professional athletes and musicians that I'm a huge fan of, and I'm like, they have no kids. But look, I'm gonna be 37 in a week. I don't got any kids either. That's kind of crazy to me. And so, private business, but there's an intention for me to have a family. But there are a lot of people I see who are now in their 50s that I grew up watching and looking up to a certain degree, have no families at all. And I'm like, that's it. That's the end of their genetic influence.
Mm-hmm.
Their legacy ends with them. Now, there are a lot of people who have kids. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people have kids. But there are just some rock stars and pro athletes, and I'm just like, man, they just didn't have any families. That kind of bums me out because it means like the life lessons and the genetics, the combination of these things that made them who they were, such great people that had a tremendous positive impact on the world, gone. With them, gone. And I'm not saying their kids are going to grow up to become famous or anything. They might, be, dickheads or something.
And that why is what I'm interested in. Why making choices that really are against our biological nature. Most people, given the ideal circumstances, I think, would have children and families. So why are there so many people?
My original thought was, I got really red pilled in 06, 07, and I felt pretty alone. But I was like, okay, I'm going to have to make a self-sacrifice. I'm going to have to let my body be destroyed in order to speak up against the military-industrial complex. They're not going to have it. Jesus got killed for it. I'll probably get killed for it. That was my roll in the dice. I'm like, I don't have kids because I don't want to leave them fatherless. And that was kind of set me on the last 15 years. But I don't want to leave them fatherless. But I'm not going to stop talking. I refuse to back down. And maybe, I don't know.
You know when people say, like, I don't want to bring a kid into this world. Like, the world is just such a scary place, and it's only getting worse. Like, how could I subject someone to grow up in a world like this? And, like, yeah, there are unique factors to, like, why living today is different, maybe worse in a lot of ways, but, I think people are just afraid of, being the person with the biggest impact on an impressionable person. Like, they're afraid of passing down their own mediocrity.
I think it's also just a really scary world to raise a kid in. Like, we're fighting to not have men pole dancing in front of children.
Sure, but we had a Cold War with, like, nuclear weapons in Cuba.
It's always been a harsh world.
Yeah.
It was harsh in a different way. I mean, they are really trying to take our children from us. Is what they're. I mean, they are stealing the innocence of our children.
There's a
same thing with the Vietnam War.
Yeah. I mean, communism was spreading like crazy.
Ugly things.
We've talked about that Whatever podcast quite a bit, which they have these clips going viral. And there's one.
I love that guy. What's his name? Chase.
Chase was the second guy.
Based.
That video where he's like, I don't want to bang a dude or whatever. But there's one where there's a woman saying she doesn't like talking stages.
I saw that one.
What is she's referring to, like the wait 3 days before calling kind of thing? Is that what she's talking about?
No. A lot of people were giving her grief because she wasn't very articulate.
Yeah,
but
no idea.
I think what she was saying was actually kind of.
Yeah.
She's upset that Gen Z really doesn't have traditional dating.
Okay.
Just kind of.
Okay.
To anything. So in a way, she really was yearning for that. Hey, maybe you should go back to like traditional dating. She wasn't able to articulate.
Maybe it took her 60 full seconds to articulate that one sentence, but, and by the way, it must be like, the English, but, yeah, I did understand her point.
I think it's also hard for say, like, hey, people are only hooking up with women. Nobody actually wants to.
If she genuinely doesn't understand.
Alright, here's the video.
Bad faith advice.
I'm gonna play this
Bad
video.
faith people.
I don't think the audience will be served at all by hearing this, but I'll play it for you anyway, bro.
Yeah. Dating world is like fucking talking stages. Like that shit's so annoying. Like the whole like, and just like the inconsistency in them. Like I literally like hate that like so much. But I think that's like my biggest thing. It's just like
What specifically?
just like the fact of just like you like I don't know how to word this. Like in like talking
She knows she doesn't know how to
just like
word
you're
it.
like
I can't do it. I can't listen anymore.
I shut up the first time I tried to, but
Yeah.
I've since listened
they
to
say
it.
she's speaking cockerel language.
So is she saying that in the early days when you're texting back and forth for like, and then it turns into a week of texting, and then 2 weeks?
So then she goes on to say, like, no one wants to commit or be in a traditional, like, dating.
Right.
These weird talking stages, and then talking stages mean, like, they are
Right.
seeing someone.
But she's also talking about 21-year-old dudes who go to college in California. Like
Here's what James Lindsay said. She's crying for help because of the damage online dating and hookup culture have wrought, speaking vaguely and badly about her tacit knowledge of a miserable... You want to pull that up? Let me start over. She's crying for help because the damage online dating and hookup culture have wrought, speaking vaguely and badly about her tacit knowledge of a miserable circumstance without the vocabulary to articulate it. This is sad. What I got, you can see, I retweeted it too. James Lindsay's a smart fellow. What I got from it is she's basically like, she wants a real relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
And that doesn't exist. And it's feminism's fault.
Yeah.
Because basically, the sexual liberation thing told men, there's nothing you have to do anymore. There's no responsibility, there's no resources, there's no hard work. Ladies, just gonna give it up. So what you end up with, a bunch of little boys who sit around playing video games all day and don't have to provide anything. Women who don't want families, so the guy doesn't have to provide anything, and there's no strings attached to hooking up. And now you have women, and I'm not saying every woman, I'm not saying most of it, at least in this case, one woman who is like, this sucks.
But it's not just, I feel like this is a majority of the Gen Z girls and the whatever they're calling that other generation. They really fell prey to this hookup culture, and I think a lot of them, you see it here in her, even though she's not saying it well, they're understanding that it's not making them happy. And that's why I feel like we had someone that wasn't, Andrew Tate's great, right? The way he articulates this to young men. Hopefully he's innocent, but
He's innocent, he's been charged with
yeah. Well, you want to preface it, but he does say these good things, but we need.
Andrew Tate has not been charged with any crimes.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's not even it doesn't even be innocent of.
Yeah.
They just locked him up.
It's just, I'm gonna put my little disclaimer. But I like what he has to say, but I think there needs to be a version of that is palatable for women. That's saying the same thing, but palatable for women, because they feel the same way. But the way...
How's it going, your local memer?
I don't know, the only way to beat it is to not participate it. And it's like the only way to get rid of hookup culture is to just stop hooking up with people. And I'm sorry, but most of the girls on this podcast, whatever, are hooking up with people. They're making the problem worse, and they're not willing to take accountability. I think that's why a lot of people are like angry when they see this clip, because they're like, I mean, I don't know this about this girl individually, but like the archetype, she's contributing to her own problem. And also, Andrew Tate is a participant in hookup culture, so it doesn't really resonate when I hear him talking about the negative effects.
He's not like, people say he's kind of like, what do they call him, kickbox, Mai Tai, Jordan Peterson. Well, yeah, but isn't Jordan Peterson more traditionalist and like clean your room, have a family?
With kids.
Andrew Tate is like, get all the ladies. I guess technically,
Peterson walks the
technically, Andrew Tate is more traditional than Jordan Peterson because Tate brings it back to a carnal, more primitive state.
Peterson says don't lie, and Andrew Tate says I lied for money. I had women pretending to be talking to guys while I had dudes doing the typing. We made tons of money. We ran the game. Like, he's just a liar and proud about it. So they are not on the same level in any way. I agree with you that being alone is less worse than being with the wrong person. So like these people doing hookup culture, maybe they'd be better off if they were alone. But those being alone and being in the wrong relationship are like D- or worse.
The alternative isn't even being alone, it's just like dating in a normal way that doesn't immediately, like for these women, give strange men access to your body.
You know what I think it is?
Preferable
a lot of
for
it?
both sides.
I think it's a cultural deficit in that we created all of this media iconography TV shows about love at first sight and about, a guy meeting a girl and they just love each other, or Hallmark movies where, the woman's in a relationship with a guy, but he's snooty, and she goes back to her hometown, and there's the old, football player, and, they the lumberjack, and he's stand-up, honorable guy. And in reality, relationships are built together. You meet each other, you get along, you say, oh, okay, you start building things together, and you build up that emotional bond over a long period of time. Which also, what young people seem to think, that it's like you meet someone, and it's like they're the one.
No, if you are in your best place, and you meet someone in their best place, then you will realize together you're something, but they're not going to make you better. You gotta be up there so that they can come up to meet you. I made that mistake for a long time, thinking she was going to fix me. And so what's advice you guys would give to young guys? Because I think a lot of guys are afraid of rejection sucks. And getting rejected in public, if that gets blasted out on the internet, not only you might even look like a predator, but guys are probably afraid of that. So what advice?
Girls also need to learn to reject guys in a way that's gracious and not ruthless. That's a problem.
What would be that's cool. What would be a good advice for young guys that want to pursue a relationship with a girl in this modern technology era?
That's a very loaded question. I mean, I think it depends what they want. If you're a young man looking for a more traditional relationship,
go to church.
Yeah. I mean, that's really...
A lot of people say that, but it's like, okay,
Supermarket.
You're going to go up to someone in church and be like, hi.
That wouldn't be very true.
Makes some people feel weird.
They say the supermarket. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine, but I just feel like they have to live, you have to walk the walk, and you can't be calling for traditional lifestyles if you yourself are involved in hookup culture and things like that. If that's what we want, really, Tim's not wrong. You're going to find that in church.
Or a supermarket. That's the other thing. No, for real, they say, guys will go to a bar and pick up chicks. It's just like, I guess that makes sense for a guy, but for a woman, it doesn't make sense. Because you're taking a guy who's not looking for any kind of real relationship. And that's what this young woman is basically saying. She comes to a point in the video where she says, this is not going to lead to a real relationship. And then there's another video going viral of a Japanese woman who was surprised when she met this guy's family. And she was like,
I'm not going to get this one.
5 dates, he introduces me to his family. And I'm thinking wow, this is a really big deal. We're hitting it off. And then when she inquires, he's like, no, we're just friends. And she was like, what? Mm-hmm. That doesn't exist where she's from. When a guy and a girl hang out several times, they're dating. When they introduce their families to each other, it's very serious. In America, look, that's what I was saying about feminism. Right?
I don't know if Japan has their shit together either.
Well, sure.
Dating.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They have the hikikomori, where hikikomori, the guys lock themselves in their rooms and play video games all day and never come out. Even when their friends are outside, they're just in their room playing video games and no one ever sees them. And then, but that's Japan. I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say something about, feminism. I know that the woke leftists are going to be like, Tim Pool blames feminism, incel, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, look, man, I don't care about women running for president.
Your sperm don't make a man.
Then what does?
It's a constellation.
In reality.
This video is going out to you, Jordy. You, Jordy. Jordy, I think I can knock you out in round 1, son. Come on, Jordy. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Now you will be the
until there's a contract in place. The person that's stolen is good for it. I 100% believe they're good for it. Hey, build a good thing for $5, man. But like I said, I'd rather have a contract and play before, I got so many things about it. Yeah, honestly, I probably won't get it this season, but, it never hurts to try. And the main reason I say I won't get it this season, I got a lot of traveling to do in the next fight Deontay Wilder? Why do you hate Woody? Why do you hate Woody so much, dog? Nobody knows about the traveling. I'm saying I do have a bunch of traveling everybody do. I've been keeping myself to secret for it. To be honest, Boogie jumped the gun a little bit. Emotion, but it is what it is.
This video. You know, I tried to box Ethan Ralph. He's too fat. And I tried to box Sam Hyde. And he would have just killed me. You, Jordy. Jordy, I think I can knock you out in round one, son. Come on, Jordy. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, Jordy. Come on. Come on, Jordy. What's the matter, huh? Are you chicken?
I've always said, if the money's right, I'll get knocked out for anybody. That being said, I mean, like, it is what it is. There we go. Hey, Bench. What's good, pimp? You know me, buddy. Always keep shit fresh. You have those? I'm not going to discuss the money. I'm not going to discuss money or strategy. Well, look on the bright side, right? Me and Boogie both have had the surgery, so we're both at equal chance to be dangerous. But you don't get paid. You don't get paid for the fight until after you do it. So, like, me backing out at the last second wouldn't benefit me. And I know you think your boy Jay's got some bitch in his blood, right? But let me point something out to you. You might not realize. I flew to another country to have the only surgery I've ever had by a guy that can't speak English.
A guy that can't speak English.
On blind faith. Just because I backed out of a camping trip one time, I've done more things than I've not done. See you, T. Hope you get back to doing that old walking. I don't know what my chin's like, man. I mean, like, I can sit here and talk shit. I can be like, you know, I'm facing a guy that's literally 15 years my senior. He's been on disability 20% of his life, and he has the only thing he's ever beaten in his life has probably been his meat. You know, I could be that person and still get knocked out, right? You know, and I don't know what my chin is. Like, last time I got into a fight was high school. You know, it's all, but you gotta understand, like, when it comes down to it, it's all gonna be showmanship. Like, you can say stuff. What makes you think Boogie can stop me? I've played sports. I've had a physical labor job. I mean, I've had an entire series where, like, I did athletic things for a guy my size. FPS boot camp, you know, the workouts with Drew. I mean, I'm not an avid follower of Boogie, but has he ever done any of that stuff? I'm not going to give any details out. Like, everything will come out with time. I can tell you this, everybody can watch it because I know mine and Boogie's fight will be streamed on YouTube for free. We are not the main event by any means. Yeah, but we're a part of the pay-per-view, but we're not part of the pay-per-view. We're what you call a preliminary fight. Basically, we're a fight that happens while they talk about the pay-per-view. And I've never sold vacuum parts, man. What color will my trunks be? The ones I can afford. I have to buy all my gear myself. So at this point, I have gloves, but I might get some different gloves. I might get like some custom gloves. Like I was sort of thinking like getting gloves that say like look here, look, listen, like on each fist or something like that. But I gotta get gloves, boots, trunks, hand wraps. Gotta get Kelly a passport. That's something we're working on. I don't know if we get ring walks, but if we do, I'm gonna try to get the ring walk to be the Kid Rock song, or maybe even let me do the Kid Rock song on a microphone as I walk to the ring. No, passports last 10 years. I got mine in 2018, so my passport's good to 2028. I got one for you. Like, if they allow me to do it on, like, a stadium PA, I don't have to pay for the rights to the song or the rights to air the song because then it's considered a cover. As for, like, sponsors, I doubt I can get sponsors because anytime I get any sponsors I get will most likely be, you know, King X4C any stuff on Discord. I think you could win a box match against Ralph. I don't look at Discord every day, King N64. If you send me something on Discord, I most likely won't see it. But I know who Ethan Ralph is, but I don't.
The guy I was eliminated.
Let me say this: I've heard the name Ethan Ralph, but if you asked me to pick Ethan Ralph out of a list of like fat men, I couldn't do it. Like I know who Sam Hyde is. And Sam Hyde's in way better shape than I am. Like honestly, like I accepted this fight. One, obviously, like I need money for home repairs. But two, it's a good motivator for me to get back on the weight loss train. And like I literally have a consequence if I don't fuck with my weight of getting knocked out and humiliated. Which not like could be the first time I've been humiliated on the fucking internet. But it is what it is. I got to figure out what I want to put these points into now. Like, do I want to fade? Do I want to go into one of the century things? No, there's no reason to back out of this. It's all upside. If I go in there and I get knocked out in one fucking punch, it's all upside. I hate to say it that way. There is no losing this fight. And not to say like, oh, I think whoever loses the fight still wins. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just a great opportunity that should be fun and be something to live your life with, man. And I think it'll be fun for other people. Like, it'll be fun for the people that watch, right? Like, it's just something fun to do. So I do have some questions. I've been looking into mouth guards, and there seems to be a few types of mouth guards. And like the cheapest seem to be the boil and bite type, but I see a lot. What are your guys' opinions on mouth guards? Well, I need it for more than one fight, but like, not that I'm gonna fight more than one fight, but I need it for more than just the fight. I'm gonna have a bookie, so I need it to be able to. I need it to last at least 3 months. I'm scared about the boil and bite. I'm scared that like the number one rated like mouth guard on Amazon is that Everlast boil and bite, and it's like $20.99 or something. Right? It's nothing in the long run. But like that, one of the first things you see on the Amazon, they show pictures of like the logo of Everlast coming off and like almost creating like edges that could cut the inside of your mouth and shit like that. I guess I can let that go. That's one of the reasons I'm worried about getting the mouth guard so quickly, because I want to do all my cardio and stuff with a mouth guard in, to teach myself to breathe with a mouth guard in, so I don't find myself like feeling like I'm where I should be, and then put a mouth guard in and realize I don't know how to breathe with one in. Believe it or not, I was actually a pretty good baseball player back in the day, but you know, baseball doesn't have mouth guards. Baseball has cups. One had great reviews, but I'm like, I've never heard of this company. But I actually don't go looking for mouth guards every day either. Let me go back and look up. You should play.
Just God forbid something happens. You and I know what we're talking about. Imagine something like that happened. How could I go to work in the morning? How could I come here and do this and film? I don't think I could ever. I don't know how you could react and exist without your child. We think about that too. We've had conversations, like me and the Queen. It was like, what would we do? How could we operate? That thought don't even fit in my mind. Like, how do we do this without?
An autopsy was performed on Junko, revealing the
Fire Song King. Fire Song. The whole album, by the way.
True horror of what had happened to her. Small bottles were found still stuck in her rectal cavity, and it was revealed that she was pregnant, although the damage to her uterus was severe. Her face was so completely mutilated that she had to be identified by her fingerprints. Being that they were juveniles, the court withheld the names of the 4 captors, but journalists from Shukan Bunshin magazine were able to find out exactly who they were and published the names of all of them, stating that they were inhuman and therefore didn't deserve human rights.
Yeah, Asia or wherever overseas, they have this weird thing with the kids. Like, they won't release, and they give them. They're so hell-bent on like rehabilitation for real. So they give these like lenient sentences to these kids that commit the worst crime. Like this one dude, I forgot his name. He literally like I forgot what little time they gave him. Like he was in and out in like a couple, maybe a year or two. Like, and he was chopping kids' heads off. Like putting them in front of schools, and like he was insane. He was a kid too.
Nobody really contested this. As we know, they were Hiroshi Miyano, 18 at the time, Joe Ogura, also 18 at the time, Nobuharu Minato, who was 16 at the time, and Yasushi Watanabe, who was 17.
Watanabe.
All 4 of these monsters were caught and sent to trial. During each trial, it was pretty common for onlookers to pass out upon hearing the details of the case. Even with all that they had done, they didn't really show any semblance of remorse. And despite all of this, they received extremely light sentences for such...
I know, what are you talking about? It's the same here. What are you talking about?
They were actually still being tried.
Talking about the U.S.? Because they slaying kids in the U.S. They're definitely sending you away for life. They're not playing. If these dudes did this in the U.S., they probably already got that.
As
juveniles, but after much backlash, they were changed to adult status. Still, after being upgraded to adult status,
the British kids. Oh, the one that they stopped that they brought that kid out the mall to the track, the railroad track or whatever.
They received unbelievably light sentences. Something that, to this day, continues to enrage people who hear about this case. The boys somehow were not charged with murder. Instead, they received a charge called causing bodily injury resulting in death. In Japan, the juvenile court system is far more focused on rehabilitation rather than punishment. Something that you'll remember if you saw my Yamaji video. Usually this means that juveniles will end up getting relatively very low sentences. Hiroshi was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Minato got a 5 to 7 year sentence.
5 to 7
himself. Watanabe got 9 years.
9 years for torturing a girl for a month and 10 days.
And Joe got an 8-year sentence.
8 years. Really taught those kids a lesson, didn't they, Finn?
One sad thing is that these monsters actually received even lower sentences than that at first. They were only increased to the still low amount after an appeal. It was so low that some people even questioned if their Yakuza ties were to blame for this.
Bro, they went back and put it up a little bit, but them...
By the time of this recording, every single one of the 4 boys is out of jail and living free. 3 of them were in jail for less than 8 years. Hiroshi, the ringleader, was sentenced to 17 years originally. He tried to appeal, but as kind of a fuck you, the judge actually upped his case to 20 years. The same thing happened to 2 of the other boys, and after seeing enough, the 4th boy decided not to try to appeal. However, they all ended up getting out long before those sentences were actually up. And I bet you're wondering if they continued to commit crimes after they got out of jail.
Slash someone. Oh.
Well, let's see. After Nobuhara Minato got out of jail, he changed his first name to Shinji. He did this for obvious reasons. In 2006, he got married to a woman from Romania and had a daughter together.
Seemingly odd. I'm with you. They should have done everything that they did. Mad people jumping on this, putting lighter fluid all over and letting it rip. But you have to tie him down because she couldn't move because all of what y'all did to this girl. So when y'all poured it on her face and threw a match on it and watched it ignite, you now have to be held down and let that burn just to burn. Because she couldn't do anything to protect herself because she was so beaten down. So I guess it wouldn't be fair if you were able to do something. I'm trying to stop her. All that you should have gotten.
They soon divorced, and the wife ended up with custody of the child. Minato couldn't stay away from murder for too long. He was eventually arrested again for the attempted murder of a businessman. The man had noticed Minato staring at him, to which he asked, "What are you looking at?" Minato came over and punched the man. The man then got out of his car and a fight ensued. It escalated to the point that Minato took out a baton and beat him severely. As the victim tried to get back into his car, Minato slashed his neck with a knife.
Oh, there you go. That's the son. He told me.
The police were called at some point and they rushed to aid the victim.
I don't remember hearing this part. That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
In the chaos, Minato escaped. He was soon caught and arrested. He denied attempted murder, saying he only intended to beat the man. The case is ongoing. Joe Ogura was released in August of 1999. He also ended up changing his name to Joe Kamisaku.
Yeah, I probably would too.
He actually had the gall to brag about his role in the kidnap and torture. His father had vowed to give their entire life savings to Junko's family out of shame. But Joe ended up taking this money and using it for himself to live a fairly extravagant lifestyle. Joe's mother wasn't much better, as she actually vandalized Junko's grave, saying that it was Junko who ruined her son's life.
And you know what?
Joe actually managed to find some women.
Like your parents go through it when you get locked up. I get it. But come on, Mom, what are you doing? It's her fault that...
smell amazing.
It's native. Clean, effective, all-day deodorant. Weigh, print, and ship, all from one device. The Pitney Ship Cube from Pitney Bowes.
Toxic train derailment site are falling sick with migraines and nausea and other symptoms. Workers aiding in the cleanup of toxic materials at a train derailment site in Ohio are falling ill with migraines and nausea and other weird symptoms, as leaders of the nation's largest rail unions are starting to reveal the truth. The revelation came in the form of a letter from labor leaders to the White House and Ohio's governor on Wednesday that claimed workers may have been willingly exposed to harmful chemicals at the direction of Norfolk Southern, the company that owns the derailed freighter. Meanwhile, Norfolk Southern continues to face scrutiny over the incident. The company's CEO, Alan Shaw, is poised to testify before the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee next week amid calls for renewed rail safety regulations. His company has publicly promised to clean up an estimated 30,000 truckloads of toxic waste brought by the wreck, while vowing to invest in East Palestine for the long term. However, workers do not believe this to be the case. According to Jonathan Long of the Maintenance of Way Employees Division of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, in a letter addressed to both Buttigieg and Ohio Governor Mike DeWine directly, he said that several have accused the company of cost-cutting the cleaning effort at workers' expense. The union boss further revealed that of the 40 rail workers sent to the cleanup site in East Palestine last month, several have already began exhibiting the aforementioned symptoms, which are sometimes associated with chemical poisoning. He added that his team has received multiple reports that workers are not being provided the proper personal protection equipment to help clean the wreckage, nor are they being given the necessary respirators, eye protection, or protective gear. I received reports that Norfolk Southern neither offered nor provided these workers with appropriate personal protective equipment, such as respirators that are designed to permit safely working around vinyl chloride, eye protection and protective clothing, such as chemical restraint suits, rubber overboots, and rubber gloves rated for safely working around the spilled chemicals. Long wrote. When some of the Norfolk Southern workers inquired about the appropriateness of their personal protective equipment and the safety of their working conditions, they would receive little or no response from Norfolk Southern officials. Long went on to reveal that one worker even approached him personally after experiencing nausea and severe headaches during the cleanup effort, which has already been about 1.8 million gallons of liquid waste and around 70 tons of solid waste hauled from the site. Long wrote that the worker came to him after he called his supervisor and requested to be transported off the derailment site due to concerns of his safety caused by the exposure to the chemicals, which were causing him nausea and migraines. Long revealed that the supervisor stated he would get back to the employee, but he never did. The employee was left on the job site. Many other employees reported that they continued to experience migraines and nausea days after the derailment, and they all suspect that they were willingly exposed to these chemicals at the direction of Norfolk Southern. The lack of concern for the workers' safety and well-being is again A basic tenet of Norfolk Southern's cost-cutting business model. Long revealed that over the past month, while still receiving numerous complaints from the workers aiding in the cleanup, that he has been in negotiations with Norfolk Southern over paid sick leave. But those negotiations have been going nowhere. He said in his letter that Norfolk Southern had agreed to pay to pick up the paid sick leave for the workers, but only if the union would withdraw a letter in opposition to an experimental automated track inspections program and issue a letter in support. So basically what's happening here is they're like, hey, you want paid sick leave? Well, you got to follow up with some of the things that we want you to do. You scratch our back, we scratch your back. Meanwhile, the workers out here working this site, they're falling ill, they're complaining about it, their complaints are falling on deaf ears, and they're totally being ignored. Like, we don't care, get out there and do your job. But like I was saying earlier on in this video, it's been blatantly clear to me, from looking at this situation, seeing all of these videos, watching some of this cleanup process, it's blatantly obvious that these workers have not been given the proper materials to make sure that they are safe while out there doing this job. I mean, they've been given nothing, like what I said earlier in this video. The majority of them have been given hard hats and a reflective vest. That's it. That is it. And I don't understand why they think that they would be okay when the residents of this town are not okay. Meanwhile, mind you, a lot of the residents in this town, they aren't even being as closely exposed to this toxic waste as the workers who are at ground zero right on top of this stuff every single day. And they're out there with no mask, no gas mask, no rubber gloves, no rubber boots, no hazmat suits, no specialty clothing, nothing. I mean, you would think that these are just your average construction workers out there. So, I mean, it's common sense. Common sense will tell you that these people are going to get sick. And this goes to show, or this proves the point that I was making in past videos, that this situation is going to affect tons and tons of people, not just the people of this community. I can guarantee you that a lot of the workers out there, they're not from Wisconsin. Most of them probably aren't even from Ohio. They're probably from various places in America, and now they're going to take their sickness that they got from these chemicals, and I'm not saying it's contagious, but they're going to go back home. And now we're going to have people scattered across America who have all been affected by this train derailment. Who knows? You may be in another state 10 years from now. You get sick and you wonder why. And then you remember, oh yeah, I did go to that cleanup site for a couple of days. Maybe that's the issue. So, I mean, there's no telling. It's almost mind-blowing the effects that this train derailment has had and will continue to have. And I don't want to sound pessimistic, but we haven't seen the worst of it yet. We have not seen the worst of it yet. Yeah, we've seen the dead fish. Yeah, we're starting to see dead deer. We're starting to see these animals drop dead. But wait until the humans. Wait until these chemicals catch up to the humans, okay?
Alrighty guys, that's going to be the stream for tonight, so I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll be back with some more games and some more content whenever I can, and yeah. I'm going to see if I'm in this one really quick.
A lot of these chemicals, they're not going to make you just drop right there on site. But over time, man, it builds up. And it's sad. It is so sad thinking about this situation. And it's...
Alrighty guys, you have a wonderful day. And I'll see you guys soon.